can see all of these. Still in that morning, in terms of two heavyweights who passed on the last 24 hours. First, we thought it was maybe Diogo Jota, and then yesterday evening it was Dodo Mayana. Yes, some call him Dodo Mayana. That is AKA, but his name is Peter Rufai. No longer with us. Super Eagles goalkeeper, won the Nations Cup in 1994. Part of the team that qualified for the 1994 US World Cup. Went to France 98. And of course, one player also played in the Nigerian League in the 80s. Okay, so that still in that mood. Probably share one or two thoughts. The BBC also will also help us with their beat, give us updates what is happening in the city of Liverpool, where attention is as we speak. The demise of Diogo Jota. Tonight, the Club World Cup round of 8, quarterfinal to be precise, will start, and then we'll see games this weekend. The WAFCON starts this weekend tonight to be precise. Morocco will be up against Zambia, and there will be games tonight, the winners and losers. Imagine Madison Keys. Okay, we'll talk about that. The Sam is also with me on the show this afternoon, and together we'll take a look at the Super Falcons camp. We'll try to see if we can get some updates from their camp. And then you begin to see other news in terms of some European football news. Thomas Partey involving Nico Williams, who some bastard thought that he would team up with Lamine Yamal. That will not happen because the boy has gone to put pen to paper to extend for another 10 years. And just a few minutes ago, Marvelous Cunha was unveiled as a Manchester United player and will get the number 10 jersey. So what is the future of Marcus Rashford? Samis, it's a pleasure having you with me on the show this afternoon. United have told the likes of Rashford, Anthony, Alejandro Garnacho, Malacia, Jadon Sancho to look for another club because their jersey will be given out. I know your jersey is not given out, your jersey is still here, so together we'll run this package on the show. So Samis, it's a pleasure having you. There's so much in terms of lineup this weekend in the world of sports, I'll say, because tennis also is involved. I would have said football, but hey, we also have to talk about tennis because going to this weekend, we'll be hitting the home stretch for XW19 when we come on Monday. When we'll have the last week for the third Grand Slam for the year. And as we speak right now, there are games going on court. Earlier, I mentioned Madison Keys, and she was on the verge of being knocked out of this XW19. I just get a check on that right now. She lost a game to Laura Sigmund in 2 straight sets, 6-3, 6-3. She's out. Okay, so not just her, out today. Naomi Osaka too is out. So, Samis, good afternoon. How do you do?
Good afternoon, Peter. Good afternoon to the entire people who has joined us on today's edition of the show. Just like you have outlined, it's definitely a great one going into the weekend, starting from the activities of the day. And also we look back at what happened yesterday where we thought it was maybe we couldn't have the best start to the day, and the demise of Diogo Jota alongside his brother, that's Andrew Silva. But yesterday, it's all about Peter Rufai once again at the later stages of the day, where the demise of the legendary Super Eagles goalkeeper was announced at the age of 61. And then you look at it, what is going on? What's the Thursday that was? That's talking about the third day in the 7th month. They said 7 stands for perfection, but then just that those ones who have lost their lives, not like they don't know how to do it, but about the grace that keeps us speaking for those of us who are presently on the face of the earth. So aside all of that, also you failed to mention that Takeru Tomiyasu's contract club, because this man is set to come back from an injury by the end of this year. And then for Arsenal Football Club, you say that this team, they are looking to fire on all cylinders next season, and there is no room for that players who are not going to commit themselves fully into what they have to do for the upcoming season. And remember that Arsenal, they are also in the pursuit of Mosquera, that's a centre-back from Valencia. They have Jerome Timber, they have Calamas, Lewis Kelly, Benjamin White. And you say that as these defenders can play across, or let's say it's at the best for Tomiyasu and even for Arsenal Football Club, because this is a player who failed to reach his full potential with the football club. And then we discuss about with the football club. And then we discuss about the Women's African Cup of Nations. I've seen pictures, I've seen videos, the Super Falcons. Well, it's all about the cultural heritage for us. But the most important thing for the ladies now is at this 13th edition of the Women's African Cup of Nations, what can they do to definitely right all the wrongs that they've done in recent years. The Women's African Cup of Nations there in Morocco, where we finished fourth. We talk about the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. We performed well. Group stage got to the round of 16, and the result, we lost out on penalty shootout. We then went to the Olympic Games. 0 victory for us, 1 goal scored at the Olympic Games. It was not the best. And then you talk about our bid also to Olympic Games. It was not the best. And then you talk about our bid also to continue some stellar things that's on the continent, which the Women's African Cup of Nations marks at the beginning of that. And also just
a point of correction, the other time, the WAFCON starts on Saturday night 9, and that was in Morocco play against Zambia, and not tonight. So all of that will be on Saturday, and then on Sunday we'll have 3 games, and those games will be starting, I think, around 3 in the afternoon, where we'll see Senegal play against DR Congo, Nigeria come up against Tunisia for 5, and then 8, Algeria will be up against Botswana. There you have it in terms of what will happen. And Sammy spoke about the girls in high spirits, and they've also promised that the coach saying that they will match our expectation, and that expectation is for them to win this year's 10th, to win the 10th in 13 in terms of the numbers of WAFCON 13, and the girls are hoping to do La Decima when they start their campaign this weekend. Let's start quickly with the Club World Cup, as we've got game coming up later tonight, and they start with the game involving 2 teams that maybe to some extent, SAMIES, nobody would have given them a chance to be playing in the quarterfinal of this year's Club World Cup. Fluminense from Brazil up against Al-Hilal of Saudi Arabia now. Al-Hilal. Yeah. There's one in Sudan. Okay. Al-Hilal of Serbia, who got Manchester City packing in the round of 16. So these 2 teams tonight, SAMIES, they take to the pitch for a place in the last 4.
Get performance they gave against Inter Milan, where it was all led by the former Inter Milan defender as well. That's Thiago Silva. Right after the game, we saw video footage of Thiago Silva giving a speech before, during, and after that game against Inter Milan. And you say that, well, for this side, they showed resilience going into the game against Inter Milan, and they came out victorious.